Alright guys, welcome back to another channel episode. Remember, this is the channel where we talk about how you don't need to be a CEO in order to have some impact on the world. And right now, currently, we're going through a series where I give you weekly updates on me getting my Tensorflow certification and all the steps that it requires in order to get a Tensorflow certification for yourself. Now, as I spoke in the last video, I talked all about how I was using Daniel, who happens to be another YouTuber, Notion page in order to learn all about which are the best sources and which is kind of a really good kind of course outline that I should follow in order to get my certification as quick as possible. Now, in that last video, I actually happened to make a mistake. It happens that instead of the 3 months that I said that it took Daniel to do the entire coursework in order to get his certification, he only did it in 3 months, and he was working around 4 or so hours every day of the week, and that's how he managed to go through all the courses and read a book and do everything necessary to prepare himself for the exam. Now, I'm not doing that, and so I'm going to be following my own routine, although now that I think about it, and now that I've done a week, I've realized that I could potentially shorten this to only a month. Before, my goal was 2 months, but I'm gonna wait and see how the next following courses go and see how long it takes me. So just to give you a little overview of what I did this week, if we go into my logs, we can see that on February 7th, I did week 1 of the TensorFlow course. Then February 8th, I did week 2. February 11th, I did week 3. And then February 12th, I did week 4. Now, I was expecting these courses to take me a week. I was expecting these courses to take me more than a week. But in fact, I could do each week of each course in only like 2 hours if I'm really being speedy, and potentially 4 hours if I'm going a little bit slow and the material is harder. This is more of an overview right now, so it is really easy, and that's why I have no clue how later on how much time it's going to take me, and that's why I'm leaving that open-ended for now. But as we go on and we look here on Notion, if we go on the other page, this is where I'm taking my notes, right here, and this is the first course, and I have the weeks, week 1, 2, 3, and 4. And in the first week, you can see I didn't put anything because it was kind of just an introduction to the course. Second week, I have actually a little bit of code, and that's actually how I like to take most of my notes, is put some code so that I can run things if I want to do a review, and then just like some quirks and kinks and things I've realized, I'll put it as bullet notes. So in this one, I have a question, which is, how would you create your own callback in TensorFlow and stopping the epochs at more than 60% accuracy? This is a super useful thing, so I was like, this code is going to be used multiple times, so I put it in my notes. And I also put in a model in my notes. And that's kind of it for week 2. It was all about setting up callbacks as a class. Week 3 was all about convolutions, which are awesome. I love convolutions. And we talked all about what they are, how they work. And so I have here a couple questions that I thought were really useful, like what is pooling when thinking about CNN? And pooling, I always knew what pooling was, but after this course and after playing around with pooling, now I understand a little bit more why you want a pooling layer to be after every convolution. And that's kind of like what you always see in models, but I never understood why we were doing it as much as I realized now through the course. I found out actually that you do convolutions as kind of like act like as a filter to make it apparent what the features are, right? To find the features, and then you can actually get rid of a lot of extra information to highlight those features. And the max pooling does that because it's getting the maximum of every kind of 4 grid, kind of those 4 pixels, and choosing the one that's the maximum there. And so that maximum, the one that's lit up, is probably the feature that your convolution found, and that's why it's so powerful to put them in together. I mean, convolutions wouldn't work as well without max pooling, and That's great. That was, I never put the two together that way, so that's kind of the biggest thing I learned this week. And then I also learned about cross validation. This is something I already knew. Usual statistical procedure, and we learned about how instead of using something like a softmax for multi-classification, you would use a sigmoid for a binary classification. And actually, one last thing that we learned in week 4 was all about RMS prop optimization. Now, I always used Atom, and I have here in my notes that you can use Atom as well. In fact, Atom does most of this, automatically adapting the learning rate for you. But as it turns out, RMS prop gives you a little bit more of like tweaking potential, which is cool when you're building really custom models. I always start out with Atom because I find it universally great, but I can see why you would want to use something like a stochastic gradient descent and have your own custom learning rates. Now, I'm pretty sure Atom, if I'm not mistaken, Atom is stochastic gradient descent just with an automatic learning rate. But that's kind of what we worked with. And the last thing we did was we messed with image size and see how that messes with the model. So yeah, that's what I've gotten out of the course so far. That was part 1 of the course. Next part of the course is going to be a little bit deeper into CNNs, and then I think the next course is going to be NLP, and then finally we're going to end with time series data. This is very exciting. We're going to go through the courses first, and then I'm going to go into the hands-on machine learning book, and I'm going to review that right before the exam. Again, I'm not going to give myself a time frame right now because I have no idea how long this is going to take. But from what it seems to me right now, this is something that I could potentially do in just a month, maybe 2 months. So that's kind of like the goal still. And yep, if you guys found this video useful, please let me know below. I'm going to continue next week with the second course and see where that goes. If you guys want my notes or anything like that, just let me know below and I'll link them. And yeah, that's it for me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next one. Peace.